Welcome back, my fellow duplicants, to Oxygen Not Included. Eat up. It's all good. Now, today I'm experimenting with the cycle of filth. So, let me explain what's going on here. Inside of this area is kind of a setup that's going to work with a lot with the animals and also the byproducts of our duplicants. So, I've noticed down here in this sort of crazy arrangement down here, as I was messing around with different automated storage thingamabobbers, which they did fix, by the way, so these do operate as expected. The hatches will eat polluted dirt. So polluted dirt is very useful for feeding hatches, and we can get polluted dirt from outhouses and things like that. So the idea is to feed polluted dirt from our outhouses into this area over here. That will allow the hatches to turn that into coal. Coal then emits carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide gets turned via these little slicksters into oil, crude oil, which then gets processed. And that processed crude oil makes petroleum, and that petroleum is burnt inside of the petroleum generator, giving off carbon dioxide and natural gas. Natural gas is also used over here in the natural gas generator. Essentially, that makes more polluted water, which will then make polluted oxygen. Polluted oxygen is in this area, which then gets converted into slime via a hatch, and slime is also consumed, via a puft, and then the hatch consumes the slime, making more and more coal. The idea, though, is can you turn a bunch of animals that are from kind of your hatchery or whatever you got going on here, from your ranch, and make them into like an effective power plant of some sort. And that's what I want to see if it's possible. Now, another thing here is we can also do byproducts such as getting rid of grime. So depending on how this was set up, this isn't set up completely, excellent. I guess I decided to have the outhouses at some point inside of here, thinking that, this might be a good spot for them. And I may end up going back to that. But let's go ahead and just not do that right now. What I wanted to do is not have my duplicants clean these things. So once they become full, they're just going to stay full, and hopefully we'll get some morbs out of it, and then we'll be able to bring morbs over here, which emit polluted oxygen. So that's the idea. Well, let's see if it works. And what I want to see is if I can get enough power to fuel incubators, essentially. I know it's kind of a big, crazy, complicated setup, but if you spread this out and use it in a more realistic way, it probably wouldn't be as complicated. But anyhow, let's see if it happens. I'm going to go ahead and take a hatch, and I'm going to go ahead and wrangle that hatch up, and we'll start to move some of these guys up to that location. So this hatch will also eat the fertilizer, which is being emitted by the fertilizer synthesizer, which runs, over there via the auto sweeper. One of the other things is that inside of here, unfortunately, I cannot put a grooming station because the auto sweeper and the conveyor and all that stuff counts as industrial equipment. So I don't know. There might be ways to, again, more optimize exactly what's going on here, but I just want to see it from I was just curious. So I figured you guys would probably be curious too, so here we go. Oh, okay. What is the temperature down here? The crude oil is quite hot. I wasn't expecting that the critter drop-off would potentially be damaged. So right now these incubators, they're sucking up all my power. So I'm going to go ahead and change up the automation I have over here. The incubators will only run once everything else is up and running. Just going to use a little NOT gate before that. There we go. So that's disconnected. The power has to go over here. And that'll go into standby at, let's say, 90%. I'm going to go ahead and teleport a puft over here. Move one into that location, get it up and running. If I could find a morb, I would move one over there, but I can't find one right now. This says decomposing corpses. So maybe they don't come out of the outhouse anymore. I think at one point they did. So maybe they do and maybe they don't. I think one thing I'm going to do here, just real quick, because I'm going to deconstruct this and replace it with some nice metal tile. That way I can let some of this temperature just kind of bleed out of here, not overheat everything. So you can see here, we've got a little bit of, I got an area for some polluted water. So that's going to slowly emit a little bit of polluted oxygen, or shall we say it like delaminates or something like that. All right, so I think I need another hatch up here. Although I am feeding this, it looks like I don't want to feed it too much, right? Okay, that's because I have a lot of slime down here. All right, so there we go. I got my first transaction here. The puffed let off a little bit of slime, and we saw the hatch eat it. So if we take a look at their calories, you can see it's kind of going down. That's kind of low. They're already at 0. How's the puff doing? Not too great. I think I really need a morb in order for this to, you know, kick off and get going. Well, Ada will help me out here. Sorry, Ada. But I need a corpse to see if I can get a morb out of you. I know. It's kind of messed up. Alright, so there we go. We've got a duplicant that is dead. Let's go ahead and drop you right here. We'll see if any morbs appear out of that. It did say it was attracted to corpses, so we'll see. So right now there's just too much oxygen inside of here. Like, I've got plenty of polluted oxygen, but it's right down there. And all the oxygen has found its way just to that area right up top a little bit. It's hard to see. You can't see it right now because it's just a tad lighter, but I'm going to go ahead and vacuum that out. So that polluted oxygen is just about the only thing we see here. That and carbon dioxide, which is fine. So this seems to be working out all right. It's kind of cycling the coal generator a little bit, and it kind of draws the power out of the battery, and these things run for a little while. They're not running continuously though. I'll tell you what, I'm gonna go ahead and set this to 20, so that way I can power up this little pump here, so we can see how this works. That will get the synthesizer working, which makes a little bit of fertilizer, which is now going to be transferred over here. And we should see that this feeder gets filled up. So now my hatches have had a little bit of a meal. Or at least one of them did. There's a bit of slime as well. So we can see that people are eating. That's good. This is just about full. And then I'll disable the building. Alright, so if I disable this, the outhouse is now out of order. Nobody's going to go over there and deal with it. So I'll see if I can get a morb out of that. I can now see that the puffed here is starting to run a little bit more. I guess run. Starting to cycle a bit more. Which is keeping at least one hatch somewhat fed. I'm going to go ahead and speed the game up a fair bit more, and we'll see what happens here. I've disabled any delivering to this coal generator, so it will only run if coal can be found and, you know, it's moved from this area over. I'm going to go ahead and lower this again to just 5 kilograms. Gotta get more fertilizer in there. This puff seems to not enjoy the game running really fast. Seems to struggle. There's a little bit of coal. So that coal is heading back over here. That should provide a little bit of power to this guy. Gosh, not much though. Oh, and it doesn't do any good when the puff drops right down here. I'm gonna move that slime. Get this puffed out of here as well. And close that floor in. There we go. Well, processing this polluted water down into fertilizer is a good way of feeding, you know, hatches and stuff, which we kind of already knew that that would be the case. I wouldn't expect that to not work. And also to feed a coal generator, which also then feeds the slicksters. I'd expect that to work quite well. This puffed really isn't doing a lot of puffing. Hopefully once the natural gas builds up here to the point where it can actually run, we'll start to see some increase. So this fertilizer synthesizer can pretty much continuously run like this when fed to a hatch, and the hatch is then, you know, fed by an auto sweeper that runs to a coal generator. That cycle there actually works out pretty good. I feel like I need another puffed in this area. There you go. Hey, there goes the first oil up to the oil refinery. That'll be pretty good. Let's see. I'll leave this on. I set this percent really low. So now we should see somebody come up here and run the oil refinery. I've also like doubled down on the puffs I have in this area. There we go. Lindsay's over here. Hey, I did not expect that. I thought that was gonna drip down. Crap. I got a solution for that too. There we go. And then to make that more efficient, we'll just do this number. And we'll set that to 1. Which is okay, because if there's polluted oxygen in this area, it'll get piped into this whole area as well for the puffs. Oh, this thing responds to the same percentage. That's kind of annoying. Then I'll set it to 10. The problem is I don't get a whole lot of coal from a puffed. Like by the time a puffed is done with, they just don't operate that quickly. So I'm gonna move quite a few more of them into this area just to see what happens. So now I've got, gosh, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them inside of here. So initially this looks like it's working quite a bit better. See the puffs are giving off slime quite a bit faster, and that in turn is turning into coal quite a bit more. What I want to see is if this pressure is going down, if that's going to become a problem or not. So trying to operate the game quite a bit faster here kind of makes these puffs glitch out a little bit. I think they still go through their sequence, but I don't know. We also see that the current pressure here, it's maintaining 600 grams. There might be a minimum amount of polluted oxygen the puff needs before it actually inhales. Technically, they should inhale polluted oxygen as part of their cycle. Although we have seen in the past that they don't necessarily reduce the amount of polluted oxygen. All right, well, I've spied one morb, so I'm going to go ahead and bring that down here. So hopefully that'll, start bringing in a little bit more polluted oxygen here. Take a look at the germ overlay. Well, surprisingly, there isn't a bunch of polluted slime lung around. Something fishy's going on. So you can see here how much slime has just been kicked out by all of these puffs. Quite a few. However, I am seeing the pressure go all over the place now. So that's kind of what I was... It's either dealing with a little... I don't know. There's still the same amount of polluted oxygen around. What's up with this? I tell you what, more puffs. That's definitely the answer. I don't know where this puff has gone. It's become invisible. Invisipuff. Should be 12 down there right now. Just gonna max it out. 13. 14. Here we go. Lots of puffs in this area. 14 of them to be exact. Let's put this at 50. So now I have some power, and that power is running to the incubators. Yep, my dupes are running in here and messing up my test. Alright, get out of there. So only when the power goes over 100% on the smart batteries, which means 50% on this guy, do these incubators start to run. They are quite power hungry. They, in the last patch here, went up from 120 to 240 watts. So these puffs seem to really, I don't know, kind of regulate their own calories once they're in polluted oxygen. This morb really doesn't do jack. Come on, do something, dude. Hop around or something. There you go. I'm not getting any morbs out of the outhouse or the corpse. Just the one I put over here. Whoop. 16, 17. I'm going to keep adding them. All right, what happens if you have 30 puffs in the same room? This test has really not gone, all that well thus far, but we'll see what happens here now that I have a ridiculous number of puffs in a room. We'll see if these hatches can actually consume enough to satisfy them. Like 2 hatches was still more than, like 14 or so of these puffs could really put out. And it might have everything to do with just how much polluted oxygen is in the area, but Oh, hello. These hatches are now staying busy. More puffs is more better. Holy cow, look at all that. That's a lot of pooping right there. All right, well, 30 is definitely better, so let's take it up to 50. All right, so that's 50 puffs in one room. Yeah, there we go. So that's some coal, but I think it has a lot to do with the ones I spawn in. They must have like already have some stuff inside of them, because that was just like a bunch of coal. So what does putting 50 puffs in a room do for you? Well, it makes your game kind of laggy. That's what I'm noticing right now. You know, it's times like this where I really kind of wonder, what am I doing with my free time? Well, there goes a full load of coal right there. Look at that. Boom! That was pretty decent. This morb is pointless. I can't seem to get any more out of him. There's something I've been missing this entire time that I took out because I had to fit this guy in there. And that was a gas filter. Yeah, like, how could I miss that with this much stuff going on? Here we go. Out. And then this will run over here. And then that's going to sift out natural gas. Perfect. So natural gas is finding its way down to the natural gas generator. Aha! That provides a little extra power here. Nice. Alright, so this system here is completely cut off, by the way. They can only come up here to run the oil refinery. So I think starting at cycle 45, I'm going to let this run for a couple of cycles and we'll see what happens. We'll be able to get some sort of idea of just how much power I'm getting out of puffed poo. The cycle of filth. This is one weird experiment. You know what? I think I'm going to give it one more cycle here just to stabilize. Mostly because I don't think this oil right now is set. It's only set to 2 kilograms. Okay, so never mind. Alright, so it's been a few cycles. Let's go ahead and take a look at the results here. We can see that the power generated here from coal is about 62 kilojoules and 9.3 from the natural gas on 49. So let's just go ahead and call that 70. And once again, we have 57. So 57 and 70, 42, 49. And then we got a little bit more natural gas on this one, with the coal generating right around 45 kilojoules. So just a little under 1 kilojoule per puffed is what this equation has really come out to. I mean, here comes a fat load of coal right there. All of a sudden. So the practicality of this entire thing is not, it's not very practical. Ooh, the petroleum generator ran for a little bit today. How about that? Still, at the end of the day, we're getting free energy out of puffs. I mean, this is straight up like Bitcoins. We're making something out of nothing. It takes a lot to get anything out of it, but bam, it's like free energy. We've actually found free energy, and we found it in the form of puffed poo. All right, so let's go ahead and take this on to its other conclusion real quick here, just because I'm running out of time. But let's say I deliver polluted dirt. So I've been watching the outhouse a little bit here. They put in 200 kilograms of dirt. That then comes out as 100 kilograms of polluted dirt. So I have right around 300 or so kilograms of polluted dirt. Now, polluted dirt is one of those things that you can easily feed inside of any of your to your hatches, and they'd enjoy it. So I'm going to go ahead and take that, and I'll put it right here. And we'll move it from that location to that location. We'll actually pipe this in, and we'll see just how much more power we can get out of just polluted dirt. Because otherwise, what are you going to do with it? I could also take in rot piles as well. That seems to be something that I have a little bit of. So there we go. That's a lot of polluted dirt. So somewhere down here is a couple of hatches. Man, this thing has to run a whole lot because it keeps... that sucks. Because as it keeps bubbling off, right? Or turning into polluted oxygen, it drops down just below the max. So they really need to put a min and max on this automated storage thing, because otherwise this thing just runs constantly, which is going to suck up a lot of power. I'm just going to disable that for a little bit, or maybe I can lower it. So now I need more hatches. So I've got 5 of them in here now. Alright, so it's been a few more cycles here, and we've gotten rid of all of our polluted dirt. I've been thinking about this. What is this? What is this experiment really? Well, it is kind of the cycle of filth, but at the same time, as I look back on it, it's like a recycling system. You could pretty much put in anything you want to get rid of here, and it just turns into power. And it turns into power pretty much automatically. I mean, the only thing that you have to run is an oil refinery every once in a while. But for the most part, you stick a bunch of this stuff in here, and it goes away and turns into power. That's kind of cool. I like it. So the previous day here, the thing is it isn't really generating a lot of power. We got 38 kilojoules on cycle 56, 77.5 the day before that. So that was a little bit higher, 44.4, and then you got 30, and then 8 on natural gas. So really, it's really no more than it was before. For whatever reason, there must just be like pretty much no power generated at all when it comes to like polluted dirt. Interesting, weird, but still a cool experiment. And I think at the end of the day, it gives us some sort of idea of, you know, where we could potentially take this with very large sort of ranches, if we really wanted to go that far. As I've already seen here, whether it makes sense or not, if you have enough puffs, you can take over the world. It might take 1,000 puffs to get, you know, a decent amount of power out of them, but still, could you imagine what 1,000 puffs would look like and how much that would lag your game out? At the end of the day, I think that'd be pretty impressive and awesome to watch. It'd be like raining poo, which you would just turn into power. At any rate, that's all I have time for today. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this little episode here of Oxygen Not Included. Thanks for watching, guys. If you have some ideas about this sort of thing and tell me what you're doing with the ranches, that'd be pretty cool. I want to explore more of that here in the next week or so. And before I leave, I'll have you guys know that I've got my 3D printer up and running for the second time. However, this one is working much better. I printed off this guy. Look at that. Look at that boat. Pretty fancy. Not bad. Being like early in the calibration settings. I've got like benchies all over the place. And I gotta say, it's actually working really quite well. So that project's coming along. And I know there's been some questions about me sharing that. And mostly I'm going to sum that up at the end, or once I reach a good spot, and then kind of do kind of a documentary sort of sharing the story rather than take you from one problem to the next until I get to the end. It's just a lot less work for me that way, and I can continue to make progress in the project. Anyhow, we'll get there, guys. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. If I've earned your subscription, then thank you so much for that. Peace. Brothgar out.